Hey guys, you know that feeling you get in the pit of your stomach when you know you did something wrong? Yeah, that's called buyer's remorse in this world. One of the key positions or jobs that I have is to not let you experience that. We are going to go into a lot of details about how we can keep you out of that situation, and this has nothing to do with insurances and taxes and storms and things like that. These are the pitfalls and challenges that you're going to be facing when you're looking at different property throughout Cape Coral, Florida, and we're getting after that next. Hey, do me a big favor, comment down below if there's something more that you want me to talk about or show you that we haven't done yet. My best feedback in order to build these videos comes from people like you that are watching and you have questions. You know, I might say something about a piece of land here and you might want to know more about it. So that's part of what we're going to do. Anyway, let's get after it. When we look at property, one of the first things, as you know, is location, because you hear it all the time. Location, location, location. Well, Cape Coral has 4 quadrants, and each quadrant is very different. We're not going to dive in deep on that today. We had a video a while ago that we did that. I'll do another one because we've had a lot of changes in the area. But these quadrants are super different, all the way down to whether you get water and sewer or well and septic, whether you have lush landscaping or it's kind of vacant, dead and dry looking, or whether you have a lot of stuff around you like restaurants and shopping, or you're kind of out there by yourself. And this all comes down to lifestyle and how you want to live it. I will tell you the way that the properties rank, and I'll tell you why very quickly. Southwest Cape Coral is probably #1. Newest homes, lots of Gulf access, so if that's your thing, that's probably where you're going to be. Prices are a little bit higher there. Flood insurance is going to be applied to most properties in that area, but again, it's a lifestyle you're after. Then you would have the Southeast. Southeast is very similar, where it has a lot of Gulf access. It's going to be older homes though. Many of these homes started back in the 60s. Some of them are going to be knockdowns and rebuilds. But in that area, you're going to have more developed neighborhoods, full landscaping, completed neighborhoods, not a lot of vacant land. Like, we're going to talk about vacant land in a minute and some of the challenges of it. But this is what we have around here, vacant land. And we're going to talk about that big building over there too in just a second. Vacant land doesn't exist as much in the Southeast, but it does exist. Now, if we're going to talk vacant land, oh, by the way, Southeast has the most restaurants and shopping that's available. If you get deep enough into it, you can almost be walkable to some of the bars and restaurants down in that downtown area of Cape Coral. Now you're going to go to the Northwest. Northwest is, it's going to be a little more barren. Things aren't as built up. You're going to have a lot of vacant land up there, but that's also where all the new builds are going, because that's where the land is. And that's where a lot of the new commercial has to go too, because there's so many restrictions throughout the city now for things like car washes and storage. But I understand the storage because we don't have storage here. The car washes, I don't really get that one. Anyway, lots and lots of them here. Oh, and the pricing up in that area is going to be a little bit lower. It's also well and septic for the most part. What that means to you in the future is that you're going to pay an assessment about $40,000 at this time. It could go up. It is amortized over like 30 years, so it's not like you're going to have to pay it all at once, but it's something you need to be aware of. And that leads us also to the Northeast. Northeast is a balance of a few of these together. What the Northeast offers, you're going to get some shopping out of it, you're going to get some restaurants out of it, you're going to get some well and septic out of it, and you're going to get some middle of the way converting to water and sewer. So some of those neighborhoods up there are torn up and they're going to stay torn up for a while. Anyway, those are the 4 quadrants. You're going to find different things in those areas. Again, the Northeast, to just finish that off, it is going to be a lot of well and septic. It is going to be some shopping. It is going to be the assessments. It's a smaller area than the other 3, so it's not going to take as long to fill it in, but it is spread a little differently. Anyway, those are the 4 quadrants, and now we're going to dive a little deeper into each one, just based upon some of the factors we're talking about. So one of the first things we look at, right, is neighbors and the neighborhood. We want to know what's going on in this neighborhood. Now, if it was you and me looking at a property right now and I looked at this neighborhood just on the surface, what would you think of this? I mean, you do have a commercial sign here, so somebody's going to eventually build here. That house over there is a builder's office, but it's a house, so it could convert to just a living quarters. But look here. And it's even on, if you look across the street, it's even on a canal. So, you know, the neighborhood looks pretty nice, doesn't it? At first glance, you would say, heck, not too bad at all. Neighbors take care of their stuff. It's really nice. Right over there, you see those white stakes. There's a little owl sitting in there, but that's for burrowing owls. We're going to talk about them in a little bit too. This is a nice looking neighborhood. So once you get by the neighborhood being nice, and being in the location you want, then you have to look at other factors. And one of the factors is going to be back down this way. And we were intending to get into this topic in a few minutes. So why don't we skip down just for a minute until I get back to what I want to show you. This is a very important one, so you got to hang in for this one. So again, with this vacant land thing, one of the responsibilities that I have to you is to get you as much information as possible about that property so that you don't make a bad decision. Vacant land has a very big impact on your future if it's around your property. And why I say that is the city of Cape Coral still owns quite a bit of it, and if they don't, LLCs own it. And these LLCs have intentions of putting in things like apartment buildings. So you have to pay attention to that. It is going to be a factor with vacant land, and we're going to go through it in detail to make sure that you don't have any issues with that going forward. But there's the little guys right there, the burrowing owls in their nest, and they're just checking us out. So we're going to leave them alone. They're a protected species. Do not mess with them. So once we get by the fact that the vacant land is maybe not owned by an LLC or by a corporation, we want to make sure it's still zoned for residential. That it can't turn commercial, because anything that's multifamily, like an apartment building, has to be commercially zoned. So pay attention to that. And if there's ever a notice that they want to make a change to a property around you, pay attention to it, because it could be changing the zoning of a property that could affect your life. Also, when you look around the neighborhood, is it plush landscaping or is it just vacant and scrubby? Like we told you, Southwest, you're going to see more of some royal palms. You see a lot of the neighbors have it here. This street is done pretty darn good, but there's some others that are just lined with these royal palms. Anyway, that is what you're expecting when you want a more plush neighborhood. Then other places, obviously, like we said, you're just gonna have a vacant lot. If it's wintertime, it's probably gonna be brown and dead looking. If it's summertime, it's gonna be green and it might be overgrown. This stuff grows so fast, they can't keep up with it. We do have a mowing program in Cape Coral, so if you have vacant land here, it's part of your taxes. They will come out and mow that property from time to time. I don't remember the schedule, but it's like every couple months they're going to do that. Okay, we're just starting to see what I wanted to show you, but it comes in a lot heavier up there. So do you see how you have a residential home, and then you have two driveways on this home? What's going on with that? Yeah, that's a duplex. And what's on the other side of that? A single family home. So basically, what they've done here is they've turned zoning for duplexes into commercial property. So in other areas, you can't do this. But these people are all part of this wrong situation that can happen if you're not paying attention, where we have mixed use neighborhoods. The reason why that's important to you is that you could end up living in a neighborhood with schools and office buildings, medical buildings, duplexes. So this is where the Realtor's Job is very important. Once again, I'm a real estate agent here in Southwest Florida, so if I can help you in any way, just either comment down below or call, text, or email me, and I will take care of getting you all the information that you need. We got to keep you away from experiencing things like this. These people may have known and might have been okay with it just because the location's close to schools and it's close to one of the main roads that runs north and south through Cape Coral. But in the long run, remember, renters come and go all the time, and you never really know what you're gonna get for a new neighbor. So if you want to have like a neighborhood that's kind of been built up and aged prior to you getting there, so you kind of know what you're getting into, then keep looking for it until you find it. One of the other things that comes up in an area like this is we've shown you how it's mixed use. We've shown you how it's vacant land. I want to show you something else, and it's just up here around the corner. Oh, let me show you this again while we're on the topic. There you go again, another duplex, single family home. All right, the thing I wanted to show you is right over here. That building is just the apartment building, but the cars going by, that's Chiquita Boulevard. Chiquita Boulevard is one of probably 4 roads that's busy running north and south through Cape Coral, and it can get loud. So if you back up to, like these folks are backing up to that, you can imagine what it's like. I had to stop recording at one point because a fire engine went by, and I obviously can't talk over that. So yes, I will alert you to traffic patterns that may affect you as well. Now, when you're going through your process of either including or eliminating properties, what we're going to do is eliminate them on things like this rental area or things like this mixed use, vacant land around you, schools with car lines. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. So there's so many factors that can affect you. And if you have vacant land, we really, really need to pay attention to one thing in particular. You see those 4 stakes? We already talked about what lives there, right? They're all over Cape Coral. And if you get one of these nests, these burrowing owl nests on your property, you need to relocate the nest before you can build on it. And that could be inclusive and maybe even more so, but it was at one time $1,500 per owl to move. So they can either relocate it on the property or they have to remove it to another property completely. But that's something, if you were looking for vacant land, I'd stay away from it unless that property was everything to you. One of the things you want to look for in a neighborhood too is the amenities. What kind of amenities are in the neighborhood? You'll notice here, what's the thing you don't see on either side of the road? Anything? That piece of concrete, kind of like a landing strip? Yeah. Sidewalks. They don't have sidewalks. Funny, doesn't bother me because I don't have a sidewalk. It's just part of what Cape Coral is right now. I will tell you, as it gets to neighborhoods that are closer to schools where kids are walking to school, they have put in sidewalks. If it's a heavily trafficked area, a busy road, they're going to put sidewalks to keep people off the road. Just a safety thing. But just pay attention to those kind of amenities. The other thing, and I don't notice it on this street either, it's not on my street at home. All right, there's 2 street lights down there. And other than that, I don't see any other street lights, do you? So with street lights, one of the things you can't do is just tell the city, I want one of those. Because they're going to tell you, well, here's your flat fee. I think for me, it was supposed to be like $250 or $275. Then we're going to charge you $15 a month for the power that goes to that light. So I had to do something different. And this is where you get creative. I had an electrician come out and put soffit lights in. So all around my house, there are lights that are on a dimmer, so we can go really bright so the kids can play for as long as they want, late into the evening, or you can tone them down and make it more of a mood lighting thing, kind of casual. But that's the way that you can fix a no streetlight situation without having to pay the city to get it. The other amenity you're going to want to pay attention to is green space that's permanent, meaning a park, some kind of a field, not something that's labeled with the city of Cape Coral that can be changed to something else at any point. Yeah, we just don't know. This is another thing that can happen when you get into multiple family units. You get a lot of parking that's off the side. See that? There's more duplexes, single family home. There's the business. Now, some of these cars might be related to the business, but you see what your road's gonna look like? It's gonna have cars lining it. And then most of these driveways, this is middle of the day, so most of these driveways, especially on the weekend, are gonna be pretty packed. But you can see right there, business, school, and up at the end, there's a church. And then you have multifamily, and then you have single family. So there is your full mixed use example. The other thing you want to pay attention to, how close is a gas station? How close is shopping? How close is dining? Am I commuting to work? How close do I have to be to the bridges? And how long is that going to take me? One thing you need to know about the bridges, the South Bridge is going to be reconstructed. I believe it starts next year, 2026. Now there's 2 bridges in each location, one sending the traffic east, one bringing it back to the west. With that said, they can shut down one and leave the other open. Problem is, you're doubling the traffic in the space in which it's running. So we predict, or I'm going to predict, that a lot of the traffic that normally goes Cape Coral Parkway is going to go across Veterans Parkway. That's going to make Veterans Parkway super busy, and you're really going to want to be looking at your travel times if you have to cross the bridges at, I guess, rush hour times. Also, if you have kids, you want to be probably closer to the schools and or even a park so they have somewhere to play. So all these things play a part. Again, lifestyle is going to determine all this stuff. So each and every one of you is a different client to me, meaning that we're gonna tackle different obstacles. We're gonna tackle different amenity needs, and we're trying to get the most of what we can get, because you already know we can't get all of it. We've talked about this a lot. We're gonna try to, but you can't always do it. Even people that build custom don't get it right the first time around. Now, when you're looking at the traffic and the flow and how everything works around a property, look at the time of year too. Our season is serious. It's not season like a little snowflakes fall and you know, we have to put salt on the roads and chains on our tires and stuff. It's not that kind of season. Our season is an influx of tens of thousands of people that come back into the state. Those are what we call snowbirds. So when they come down, they infuse our local economy with a ton of money. So yes, there's a good part to that. And a lot of us don't really complain too much about it. I think the worst part of it is the traffic, because everybody's from a different area. They drive completely differently. And yes, drivers are terrible here, so head on a swivel. That's all I can tell you. Use your GPS all the time. I was out with Joanne the other day looking at some properties, Joanne and Chad, and one of the first things that they realized, because they're looking around canals and stuff, is, man, we need that GPS, because you just can't get anywhere without it. These canals just come out of nowhere, and you've already seen in past shows that we've had people go in those canals, and I gave you some information as to what you need to do about it to protect yourself, but it's a real thing, so use your GPS, please. But the seasonal stuff, the reason why I'm bringing that up is that you want to pay attention to traffic flow at different times of the year. Summertime, all the schools are off, so you're not going to see the school traffic and how that works. So these are all variables that we'll talk about that are specific to your situation. I will warn you about each and every one of them. If it's a problem in that area, you get to decide what you want to do with it. Now, you may be asking yourself, with this mixed use properties, does that affect the property value? What do you think? Because ask yourself, would you want to purchase a property next to a school, a business, a firehouse, any of those things? Correct. So you lose probably 50% of your buyer pool straight out the gate, and then depending on the condition of the house and the condition of the homes around it, you could lose another 25. You might be working with 25% of the buyers that you could be working with if it wasn't for the location with the buildings around it. I was out with some other clients the other day, and one of the first things they pointed out is there was a brand new Gulf access single family home on really good access. I'm talking like 5-10 minutes into the river. Price was only about $750, and again, for brand new pool home on Gulf access, that's a really good price. And I was talking to Eric about this and saying, hey dude, well, it's a great price. He's trying to tell me about it because I have a boat and it'd be nice to live on Gulf access. What's the problem? Well, right across the canal is a condo building 4 stories high that Eric happens to live in right now. Anyway, my clients are like, yeah, I really loved the home. It was beautiful, it was amazing. Access was fantastic, it would have checked all our boxes. But the building across the way, I'd have to look at it the whole time. And what's the first comment that I made about that? How long you think you're gonna live in that home? Is there a chance you'd ever sell it? Because if you do, now you're faced with the same problem. And if you aren't willing to buy it right now because it has that view, how many others you think are going to? Once again, you're going to lose at least 50% of your buyer pool right out the gate, and you might lose another 25 on top of that based upon other conditions. Evacuation zones. Now, this means nothing to me because I don't evacuate. When hurricanes come, I'm looking for every way to possibly experience it as I can. Now again, I'm not in a flood zone. I have a newer home, so it's concrete block. I have the metal shutters. I do not have impact windows. But that's all you really need to be safe. Stock up on your supplies, get a generator in case the power goes out, so when the storm's over, you can at least get some fans running and maybe get your refrigerator going so you don't lose the food that was stored in there. But those evacuation zones, you may or may not want to live near one, but they get overloaded. A lot of people do leave. I-75 is terrible for it. In fact, I was questioned the other day by John about the evacuations, about how the evacuations work here, because they see how the traffic is and they're saying, well, how in the heck are all these people going to get on those roads? There's only a couple roads. Now, if you hear that ambient sound around me, there's many bikes and cars up and down this road too. So it's not just the mixed use, it's also how heavily is the road traveled. Many people are using these side roads to get places to avoid lights and avoid all the traffic. So be aware of that as you're driving neighborhoods too. And again, driving neighborhoods is still top of my list for things to do for each and every client. And the reason behind it, I do it myself. If I'm interested in a property, the first thing I do is jump in the car and go check it out, because I cannot live in a area that is overflowing with people or overbuilt or in a state of disrepair, because it's only going to affect my value. And that's exactly how I treat it when you're working with me. I look at it as my investment so that you know that I'm invested in you and that house. My name goes behind every single transaction I do, so I'm gonna get it right for you. That's my promise to you. Obviously, flood zones, we know all about this one, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much, but we pay close attention to that using flood maps, using elevation certificates, having a discussion with the sellers or using the seller's disclosure to find out what the history of the property is and any water intrusion. All these things are part of our job, and we're gonna take care of that to make sure that you know exactly what you're stepping into. Now, after you get the location and the home all taken care of, now you wanna be thinking about things about the home itself. Now, one of the things you have to consider is do you wanna be in an HOA or not? A homeowners association can change your life exponentially. And what I mean by that is you may or may not be a rule follower. If you are not, you may not want an HOA. If you are, you're probably gonna love it, because it keeps everybody in place. I will tell you this, many of the rules that are in those covenants are not actually enforced unless somebody complains about it to be enforced. Then at that point, you have to consider, is it even legal? There are many things that HOAs try to pull on people that aren't even legal. And we're gonna talk about that in a future video, because it's something that is very concerning. These HOAs can kind of run like a dictatorship. And I know anybody that's living in an HOA, a bad HOA, knows exactly what I'm talking about. I was speaking with Matt the other day. He's out in Wisconsin and they're on their way down here. And one of the things that he brought up to me was, how much is landscaping down there? Is it like really competitive? Is it expensive? And I told him I was quoted about $155 a month for my, I'm almost a half an acre of land. The $155, he almost scoffed at it. He said in his area, it's not uncommon to be $1,000 a month. And I'm like, what? And he said in some areas, it's as high as $7,000 a month. Now, I'm gonna imagine that's gotta be a whole lot of acreage to be $7,000 a month, but that's huge. That is a huge number. And everybody wants to talk about how expensive it is to live in Florida. No, not comparatively. The next thing you want to think about with the house is, are you compromising on things? I instruct all my clients, let's not look at the ones that I could possibly live in. Let's look at the ones I really want first. If we eliminate all those for various reasons, then we can look at the, well, this could work if. And that's one thing I don't want, because it feels like we're giving up before we start. So let's tackle the things that you want most first. And like I said earlier, we're gonna get the most of what we can get from each property. Then it's up to you to decide which one has the things you want. And that brings up another question. Would you rather spend a little bit more money? Let's just use the number 50,000. So you're looking for a $700,000 home, and there's one for $750,000, completely redone, nothing to really do except bring your clothes, your toothbrush, and some food and drink, and you're all good. Then there's the one where you have to spend the $50,000 to fix it up. Is that you? Are you one of those people? Because that's the trade-off. Believe it or not, it's as straightforward as, do you want the work done for you, or do you want to do it for yourself later? And that literally is going to come down to, well, do I like the design? Do I like the colors? Do I need to change anything? If you have to change everything anyway because it's not the color and style you like, well, then maybe the rehab is your choice. But if my money's on it, I'm just going to tell you that many people don't even get to it for years, if they get to it at all. And at that point, they're having to then deal with negotiations and contractors on their own. They have to deal with the scheduling conflicts if you have to be at work or get the kids from school or any of these other things. You've got workers that got to get in and out of the house. There's a lot of challenges with that that you may not be thinking about. And remember, this is Florida, so a beautiful day like today, whatever vendor was supposed to show up might be off at the beach or on a boat. A few of the other things we're going to be looking at is the age of the home. Age of the home is going to tell us usually what the insurance is going to come out like too, because older homes usually don't have all of their codes up to date, And if your codes aren't up to date, the insurance will not give you full coverage. Another thing insurance won't give you full coverage for is if you do not have shutters to go all around your house, or any kind of window cover. It doesn't have to be a shutter. It can be impact windows. It can be accordion shutters. It can be a piece of wood that covers it, but they have to be there, and the inspector has to see that they exist in order to put it in the report, and that report is then going to tell the insurance company what kind of insurance you get. There's also a 4-point inspection that's going to be done, and it's going to do things like your electrical and plumbing systems, go over the roof, things like that. And if it doesn't pass those, you may have to bring them up to date to even be able to close on the home. Challenges that we help you get through so that you don't have to deal with the headaches like most people. If you wanted that home that was already repaired or updated and you decided that was the house for you, well, now the next step comes up. Our due diligence says we want to find out who did the repairs, who did the updates. Do you have invoices? Or did your buddy Bob come over to do it, or your neighbor Sam, because he has so many years of being a handyman? Now, he's not licensed or insured, but he made the changes. Oh, and he probably didn't pull a permit for things that you need a permit for, like even a mini split. I put my mini split in, I had to have a permit for it. So those are things we have to account for. Many times things are put into the houses without permits, and in some cases we have to file for a permit prior to closing, have it opened, inspected, and closed before we can close on the home. So it can still be done, it's just a process to get there, but again, we've been through it, we know how to handle it, let us do it for you. You're gonna also be looking at things like the view. I was out with Tim and Chris the other day, and we're looking at properties, and the one thing about the view that was interesting, all of them were like intersecting canal and basin views. And the reason why is you get a big water view. And you know what? Tim's a huge fisherman, so we just kind of fell towards that property, those kinds of properties. And that limited us to about, I'd say 7 to 8 homes that would fit both in their price range and on the water. That view is probably only on 3 or 4 of them though. So once again, inventory may be higher than normal, but when you're very specific about the type of home you want and the type of amenities, it gets really small, really fast. And if you'd like to speak to any of my clients that have gone through that, I'm sure they'd be happy to speak with you and tell you all about their experience. Another big one you're gonna wanna be thinking about is water and sewer versus well and septic. This neighborhood is in the southwest, so it's going to be water and sewer. Well and septic, northwest, northeast, like we discussed. There will be, again, roughly about a $40,000 cost to convert to water and sewer in those well septic areas. And one of my jobs, again, in assisting you is to give you an idea of if it's going to convert, when is it going to convert, or a rough idea, because we have many new projects coming in that are very, very large, and they're going to need the water and sewer far sooner than some of these other neighborhoods. You cannot put a community in without having the water and sewer. Just too many doors, too many people, not enough space. Canals. Canals is a big one, especially if you're a boater. The number of people that come to Cape Coral and assume that the canals are all the same, not even close. The center of the city is pretty much freshwater. The way you're gonna know freshwater over saltwater is it generally has lily pads in it. You normally don't find that in saltwater. Brackish water, I don't know, possibly. But another big tell is how many docks and boats are out there. Freshwater homes, if you really look at the map, the aerial map, you'll notice there aren't that many docks or boats in freshwater. If you look at the saltwater, it seems like every home or every other home has it. So that's another tell for you. As far as things like seawalls, you don't need a seawall in freshwater. You need a seawall in saltwater. If there's any mangroves on saltwater, then you have to have it removed before you can do any construction back there, like a seawall. So there are some differences there. As far as commutability on these canals, if you're looking to get out to the Gulf on a Gulf access canal, it's probably one of the toughest things, but people are starting to understand more and more. Joanne emailed me the other day because they're looking at Gulf access, and that was one of her comments. It's like, oh my gosh, this Gulf access thing is not a blanket coverage term. It's very different from place to place. And I confirmed that. Absolutely, it's different. Your commute to get out could be literally anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes or more. Yes, that's the way the canal system works. Now, the ones that are further up the canal system, yes, it's very inconvenient to have to go much further. I know I couldn't do it. But the other thing it does, the further up the canal system you go, if there is a storm surge, it takes more effort to push the waters higher further up the canal system than it does at the opening. So you might get lower flood insurance further up the canal system, might have a little higher elevation. It'll save you some money on the flood insurance side of things. But long and short of it is, you got to think about everyday use, because you're not on Gulf access for when a storm comes. Because a storm, in the home I've been in 6 years, there have been maybe 4 or 5 storms. And in that time, I've put the shutters up maybe twice. The second time, didn't even need them. So it's not a common thing to worry about storm surge and shutters, but it exists and you kind of have to know it's there. The other thing that determines what you're going to do about the canal is what other things do you like to do. If you're a freshwater fisherman, you don't need saltwater. And if you don't really care about going out, you just want the privacy and a little space, get a freshwater. You're going to be maybe 25% of the cost at most. Saltwater is purely for the boaters, purely for the people who want to get out there. If you want space, like great, that's wonderful. But to put it on saltwater, once again, you're kind of just spending money to spend money at that point if you're not going to boat. And while it's not the last thing or the least thing, one of the things that we definitely have to look out for, especially if you're looking to build, is those protected wildlife creatures. We already mentioned the burrowing owl. There's also gopher tortoises and scrub jay. Scrub jay are normally found more up in the Charlotte County area, but they can exist. And gopher tortoises, I've seen these. In fact, my clients, Sean and Gracie, they had a tortoise on their property or nearby, and thankfully it wasn't something they had to deal with, but it did bring some cause for concern because they already bought the lot before they found the builder. All right, guys, those are some of the pitfalls and challenges if you're looking to move to Cape Coral, Florida. If you didn't find everything in this video and you're wanting to know more about the area, check out these videos. And if you have any additional questions that I haven't addressed, again, comment down below. I'm not afraid to answer these things. I'll tell you if I can or can't do the videos based upon what it is you're asking, but I'm here to assist you because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.